All right, what up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of BOP. This is your boy AD, and we got my boy Jules in the building. What's up, Jules? How you feeling, man?
Good evening. I'm doing good, doing well. Waiting for week 7 to show up.
Hey, that's what we all waiting on. Anticipation. The Texans had a bye week, and we back in the building again, going to Las Vegas to face the Oakland Raiders. But before we jump into this preview and all the news for the Houston Texans, because there is some major, big time major news for the Houston Texans. Let's go ahead and recap week 6 when the Texans were off. Let me run down these scores for you. Right. So we had, of course, that horrible last week Thursday night game with the Bears and the Commanders.
Who won that game? I forgot.
Yeah, it was the Commanders won 12-7.
Right.
You know, sad affair. The 49ers and the Falcons took over that game, won 28-14. The Patriots beat the dog shit out the Cleveland Browns. Hallelujah. Thanks, Jesus, that we got that done. That draft pick is going to look real nice from Cleveland.
Right.
The Patriots won 38-15 behind Bailey Zappi, lighting them up for over 300 yards. The Jets.
Yeah, killer.
Yeah, right. Straight from HBU, right here in Houston. But then we got the Jets taking over and just dismantled the Packers 27-10. And you got the Colts outlasted the Jaguars in the AFC South matchup 34-27. The Dolphins fell to the Vikings 24-16. And you had the Bengals outlast the Saints with that long touchdown by Jamar Chase, that 61-yard touchdown. They beat the Saints 30-26. And the Giants upset the Ravens 24-20. I don't know how much we can say upset with the Giants because they 5-1 rolling hard. The Steelers 20-18 against the Buccaneers. Shut Tom Brady out.
Love it.
Made him look human.
Love it.
And then you got right. You got the Rams beat the Panthers 24-10. Panthers in full tank mode. We're gonna get to them in a minute. And then we got the Seahawks beating the Cardinals 19-9. You know, kind of one of them unwatchable type games.
Right. A bunch this season.
Right. Then you had the two primetime games. You had the Bills and the Chiefs. The Bills outlast the Chiefs 24-20. No Patrick Mahomes magic in this game, even though they had the opportunity. And then you got the Sunday night game, which was the Cowboys and the Eagles. You know, the Eagles just said, we here. They are them. They are them. They 6-0, the only undefeated team in the NFL. And, you know, they showing out, man. They showing out, beat the Cowboys behind Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott is supposed to be coming back this week. So we'll see how they revitalizes Dallas, you know, even though they still 4-2.
Right. They still in the game.
Still in the game, man.
Right.
They number 2 in the division. Well, number 3 in the division. You know, that division is everybody thought their division was gonna be bad, man, with the Eagles, and Eagles was gonna win it outright, and the Cowboys and Giants stepping up 5-1, and you know the Commanders is commanding the bottom of the bottom of that division. And then you got the Monday night game, which was another snooze fest. Any game that involves the Broncos is a go to bed early game. They lost to the Chargers 19-16. Russell Wilson, oh man, he was doing too much.
He got hamstring issues. He got hamstring issues all of a sudden.
Man, he got hamstring issues doing too much TikToking and Subway sandwiching and dancing
praying
with Sierra.
Yeah, praying every Tuesday at Bible study.
Yeah, he doing too much. He doing too much, man. So that was just a little breakdown of week 6, you know. And then if you go down to the standings right now, the Houston Texans are sitting pretty good as far as draft picks are concerned.
Take mode, baby. Take mode.
We not gonna be in take mode. We don't have to be in take mode right now. It's just automatic right now. Just looking at it right now, Carolina is the one that's in tank mode.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
We gonna touch once again. It's a theme because we're gonna touch back on them in a minute. Detroit is number 2. They 1-4. The Raiders are 1-4, and it looks like that we may jump their spot to number 3 if the Raiders pull off this win. We'll talk about predictions in a minute.
Right.
Then you got the Saints at 2-5 and Houston at 1-3-1. And then you have Chicago and Cleveland and Denver, and then the whole list of 30% of the league is 2-4 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
don't forget that Philadelphia has the Saints pick, so they're gonna
do.
pick in the top 5. They might have the best record in the league this year.
They probably be Super Bowl bound with the top 5 pick.
Right, that's crazy.
The rich get richer, man. That's what happened when you got a GM that knows what the hell they doing. Hopefully Nick Caserio is one of them GMs that knows what the hell he's doing, because right now we got 2 top 10 picks with that Cleveland Brown pick coming in at number 6, and we sitting at number 4.
Right.
So just a wait and see right now.
At that spot, those spots you can do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter what you do.
You don't have, and right now it kind of the draft, when you picking that down in that range, the draft kind of sets itself up for you,
right?
And you have your choice. It makes it easier. The choice is easier, should I say? Because after that first 4 or 5 picks, talent kind of dwindles,
right?
Compared to it's some talented players, but as far as like game changing type players, out of the top 10, you may have 5, maybe 6. Right. That what you would consider like super game changing type of players, and it's still early in the season, so it may be seen later on, who can be that type of player. But we mentioned the Carolina Panthers, man. Let's talk about that good old trade the Carolina Panthers made on late last night at the 11th hour. At the 11th hour, people was in the bed sleep and getting these alerts from Adam Schefter.
How do you trade that contract and his injury history for 3 to 4 picks?
So let's break it down, because the people don't know. For those that don't know, everybody knows at this point. But the Carolina Panthers have traded Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers.
Rich get richer.
The rich get richer. The running back group gets even more sturdier. And they trade a 2nd round pick, a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, all in 23.
Right.
And then they also trade a 5th round pick in 24.
Right.
So at this moment, the San Francisco 49ers are going into the 2023 NFL draft with a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick, and a 7th round pick. They may get 2 more 3rd round picks for McDaniel and Salah, whoever. Well, they'll get 1 for Salah this year, and they'll get 1 for McDaniel next year, a little comp pick for minority coaches. But other than that, man, they selling the farm, and I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel for San Francisco right now, even making the playoffs. So I don't understand this move. Maybe this move is to set up for next year, but you kind of setting yourself up in bad cap space and don't have no draft picks. I don't know what they're gonna do. It ain't
it's win now. Their record is not that bad, because no team in the whole NFL has really set themselves apart besides the Eagles.
Yeah, and they 500 right now. So
they
3-3. They making turn it around, man. They making turn it around. So it's a lot of different things, man. And just talking about the draft, the Houston Texans, there's so many possibilities that Houston Texans have at this point. We all know the needs of the team, the defensive line, linebackers, tight ends,
maybe quarterback.
I don't even want to touch on that. That's a taboo topic. You don't want to touch on that, because you touch on quarterback, that just ignites, fire. Texas Twitter had a bye week, And Texas Twitter got lit on flames with gasoline and premium gasoline was lit on
Right.
fire, man. And
And that's after a win. That's after a win.
after a win, and
And
we
we
didn't
still
even
arguing about
play.
it.
We couldn't even bask in the glory of a single win for a
Right.
week. And we got to go in flames with all the drama, craziness, and the Mill supporters and the anti-Mills clan, and just
The draft junkies.
I never knew that any subject can be turned into a Davis Mills discussion. I
I'll,
found that out on Twitter this week.
every subject that comes to the Texans, as long as Davis Mills is on his team, can be flipped into a Davis Mills argument. It's
Always.
astonishing.
It never fails, man. And what's crazy is that this week it was kind of quiet.
Right.
It was kind of quiet. I'm and it got blew up a little bit, and I
Right.
was surprised. But we're gonna touch on that in a second. But
I got blocked.
Oh Lord, let's go. The block party is alive, boy. The block party is alive.
It is
So
what it is, though.
it is what it is, man. And if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. But
that is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people block you. That's all it is too.
Mm-hmm.
People can't handle conversation, so they block you. So it is what it is. I don't wear it as a badge of honor, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
So
That's what Texas Twitter is. It's blocking folks and arguments.
It's toxic, man. Texas
It
Twitter
is
is toxic, but that's what people come. That's what they come for. They come
right.
for the entertainment. They come to be entertained. They love to see us going at each other over a franchise, over a team that's 1-3-1.
Right. Like we won anything in the last 5 years. Like we Super Bowl bound. We know diving. You know what I'm saying? We've been on top for 25 years, and all of a sudden, what's going on? We've been in the same situation for 4 or 5 years now. So what's I don't understand the situation, but hey, it is what it is. We still fans, so
we fans, man, and a lot of one topic. Talking about it. One topic that had the Texans Twitter in shambles for years before there was a Texans Twitter. The Texans Twitter was in shambles before there was a Texans Twitter. And this came from the Almighty. The Almighty. Jack Easterby.
Oof.
Jack, yeah, if you felt that breeze, you say that name, that breeze come in, man. That breeze come in. And so, in honor of what transpired this week, we just got to give a little Kurt Franklin to the space, to the area.
Mm-hmm.
Let it be cleansed. You hear that saxophone playing? Let it blow over you.
A fallen saint has fallen.
The Almighty Jack Easterby. He gone, y'all.
He gone. Him and his 7 millions are gone.
Yeah, all he wanted was that silver and gold.
You know what I'm saying? He got it. How he got it, you'll never know.
He didn't want Jesus. He just wanted that silver and gold.
He didn't care about one fish, two fish. He didn't care about no blue fish, red fish. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to be there for the Texans, and it was all misunderstood. The SI article wasn't right. It was paying him in a bad picture. It wasn't his fault, and that's the story he say. It is what it is. But we all know the truth, though.
Don't know. So you got to listen to this first one. He wanted the world. That's what he wanted.
He wanted to be GM.
Yes, he thought he was the savior.
He want to be an owner.
We gotta have Jesus and not Jack Easterby.
Nah, not Easter Bunny as people call him too.
Man, it's just it's a wonderful day in Texas space, man, and in the Texas for the Texans fans. Jack Easterby, he gone, man. He gone. The man caused so much turmoil,
right,
and so much drama, and so much you know, just animosity, unnecessary animosity amongst, just amongst Texans fans, man. Just the way he came in as this, culture coach, pastor, and he just came in and he connived and snuck his way all the way up to the top.
All the way top. I'm damn near almost took our roots.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't say that too loud. People get upset about that. The boy
But
almost
and then the Texans organization themselves, they put more confusion by not naming what he was doing for the organization. So
right.
even though there was a lot of rumors, a lot of articles being written about him about what he was doing, what he wasn't doing, what power he had, the organization 2 years ago, 3 years ago, never said Jack job is this. That's all he's gonna do. It was always, well, let's not talk about Jack. Jack
Yeah.
ain't showed up. He ain't showed up in a press conference in 3 years. Nick kind of passed the buck when they asked him about the questions and his role. So as much as we confused, as much as the sports world was trying to figure out, the Texans kind of egged it on to
Yeah.
being confusion.
And the only time we knew anything for Jack Easterby was when he got promoted to GM after Bill O'Brien got fired.
Right.
So, it's been, let's talk about the people that have left the organization since Jack Easterby has arrived.
On both sides, right? Front
Yeah,
office.
in the front office and on the field. I mean, he came in and got Brian Gaines the hell up out of there.
Right.
Who was a pretty decent GM. I just think he never even got a real opportunity to even try to be a GM.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you look around, and after that, Rick, I think Rick Smith was gone before,
Right.
but you had
Clowney was gone.
yeah. I mean, let's go to the players: Jadeveon Clowney,
JJ Watt.
DeAndre Hopkins, JJ Watt, hell, Deshaun Watson.
Was it DJ Swearinger too? Maybe.
No,
Was it DJ?
Swearinger was gone already.
Oh, okay, DJ. Yeah,
but I mean, just that player list alone,
right?
He should have been gone, before then. Then you got Jamie Roots retired and left the organization, who's with the organization since its inception.
Chris Olsen.
Chris Olsen, Matt Bazergan. Mm-hmm. I mean, the list goes on. The front office personnel that are doing great thing. Matt Bazergan, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he with Philadelphia right now?
Yeah, yeah.
He's helping build the Philadelphia juggernaut
right
as we speak, and we had him in our front office. So, I mean, Paul David Culley was a casualty.
Yeah.
Hell, Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, he
became a casualty.
Right.
So it's just a whole, bunch of just craziness. You know what I mean?
And then with the players being traded or released, as far as JJ Watt concerned, the good nature of this organization of not being diehard Texans, not Texans, but NFL owners and GMs of trade value and assets, you let these guys go for pennies of a dollar. Mm-hmm. JJ Watt still had trade value, but he's a good guy, and he did for them. So let's let him get out of his contract instead of getting a fifth round or a fourth round pick from him. He could have picked the team he wanted to, and they could redeem the contract.
Still trade him and got value for him. If he wanted to go to Arizona would have given up a fourth round pick for JJ Watt,
right. and kept the same contract, and they had to pay extra money.
Exactly.
So the whole thing about the players getting traded for, even with him and Jack and Bill O'Brien being here, they just never they wasn't GM guys, they wasn't personnel guys,
right? And it's just so much uneasiness from the fan base. There was no sense of confidence in the front office and the coaching staff. Just the trickle down effect. It started with ownership. At least at some point the ball got to stop.
Right.
If it go from ownership to front office to the coaching staff, at some point the uneasiness feeling got to stop somewhere.
Right. And then
You know.
like fans and people want to give Kyle and Janice the credit for finally get rid of him,
Mm-hmm.
but you give them credit for cleaning their own mess. They
Yeah.
created this mess, so
Yeah.
I can't give you credit for cleaning your own mess. Did you do a good job? Finally, yes. But what did it take for you to realize that your organization is not as strong as it should be and it's
Mm-hmm.
causing more chaos what you're doing, and you finally step up and say, hey, okay. And I think the reports was he was told he couldn't do things,
And he
but he
went
was
behind
trying
the back. Yeah.
right, and he was trying to get more allies and more, and couldn't. He was trying to leak more information. Then they finally stopped him. So, like I said,
Yeah.
you can't really give them credit for firing him. They had no choice because he just kept doing what he did in the beginning. So I don't give the Cal and Genesis and the front office that much credit for firing him because it should
Mm-hmm.
have been done. But I do appreciate them finally firing him and closing the chapter of everything per Nick.
Yeah. And people want to say that Jack was the reason that Nick was there
Right,
in the first place. Honestly, I think Nick was there in spite of Jack Easterby.
right,
So John McClain put out a tweet and said this wasn't the first time, when Nick Casario got hired, this wasn't the first time that the Texans tried to get him.
right,
They tried to get him even before Jack got there.
right.
In 2018, they tried to get him before Brian Gaine. They
Mm-hmm.
wanted Nick Casario as the GM.
Right.
Well, the Patriots blocked it. You know. Then after you hired Jack Easterby, the very next year,
Temporary.
you get the tampering charge because of Jack Easterby.
Right.
So how great of a move was that?
Right.
You know. And then you finally bring him in. At that point in time, his contract was up with New England. New England couldn't really fight. They had did all they can do. They blocked it as much as they could, but this was a bump up move that
Mm-hmm.
they got lucky. To me, they got lucky with the tampering
Right. They
because
did.
they couldn't really hold them because you can't stop somebody from getting a promotion.
I'd like to take about Cal again and Genesis that I think they could have fought it the first time
Yeah,
because the whole thing was he couldn't leave for a lateral movement, and since he was actually never named GM,
GM
he
exactly.
could have fought that, but they bowed down to Robert Kraft and Patriots, which
Yeah.
kind of left a bad taste in my mouth that legally and by the NFL rules, you had a right to talk to this man about moving up to be a GM,
Hmm.
but they backed down and showed their heartless and they no courage that they didn't want to fight for what they wanted because we could have had a whole year of Nick being here and a further progress of this team going forward if
Yeah.
they had just bite the bullet and say, hey, we didn't tear up for him, we're gonna fight you head tooth nail, let's go for it.
Right, and then you had a hypothetical because people used to call it the Holy Trinity. At that point in time, it would have been Nick, Jack, and Bill O'Brien, the Patriots South and the Holy Trinity. But honestly, the way that Nick is, to me, he's his own person,
Right.
and I don't think he's a follow behind guy. I
Yeah.
give him that much credit. I know people don't give him a lot of credit, for things that are,
You know how he talk, right? With his
yeah,
hands move all the time.
yeah, he got a lot of credit with that. But as far as like people, the moves he's made,
Mm-hmm.
he's done a good job, a decent job.
Right.
And there is always room for improvement. Nobody's
Yeah.
perfect.
Right.
That was the biggest argument. That was one of the big arguments on Texas Twitter was Nick Casario and the job that he's done so
Right.
far. And so, I feel like even if Nick was hired then,
Right.
that Bill would have been gone and Jack wouldn't have been too far behind.
I don't
And
know. As much as I dislike Bill O'Brien as a coach and a GM. I think if he would have just been a coach, he
but
still would have
that
been
that was
five
the
hundred.
thing. That was the
I,
thing. Bill had been there so long. Bill didn't know how to be just a coach.
right.
Bill wanted full control over personnel. which is why you see the DeAndre Hopkins trade, which is why you see, the Dwayne Brown leaving, which is why you see all these different things happening, Jadeveon Clowney leaving, and all of these things happen under Bill O'Brien.
Right.
So it wasn't just a GM or the organization making a move. Bill O'Brien had to sign off and say, either I want these players to stay or I don't. And
Right.
Bill O'Brien didn't fight for no DeAndre Hopkins.
He didn't fight for Clowney.
Didn't fight for Clowney. And he basically gave Clowney away for, a bag of chips, because right now we have nothing really to show for
it. And the third round pick we could, and Jacob Martin is gone.
Yeah, that was it. That's what we got from the Jadeveon Clowney trade, and we really have nothing to show for that. We really don't have anything to show from DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Right, because Johnson's gone. Johnson's gone, and the second round pick.
The only thing we have to show, to be honest, is Brandon Cooks.
Right.
Because we traded that second round pick for Brandon Cooks.
Right, pretty much.
And we drafted. What was it? We traded a second round pick for Brandon Cooks, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think it was that pick. But we drafted Ross Blacklock with the DeAndre Hopkins pick in the second round, and he turned out to be gone.
Once again, because because Bill O'Brien didn't know how to pick talent and put talent to where to benefit the team, because he was not a 3-4 defense end, and he damn sure wasn't a nose tackle on a 3-4.
No, he was a tweener that couldn't do any of it. Right. So it was just a bad pick, and so at the end of the day, man, we here where we are right now.
Yeah, here we are,
and at this point in time, man, I think Nick Caserio had a lot to do with Jack being gone.
Right.
Because he kind of brought the attention to the McNair's eyes that, hey, this is what this man is doing. I'm telling you that this man is leaking information to the public. So let's go ahead and do. And I think Nick set up some plans that kind of got Jack caught up.
Right.
And so.
Now, and I think Levy being here, being the strong force that he is, I think he helped Nick and everybody see what was going on with Jack Easterby. That hey, he had to go because it's just too much going on.
Yeah, and it was the news of the day, man. It was the news of the week. But he gone. We can move on. We can finally, kind of rid ourselves.
Right.
Of the stench of Jack Easterby and the Houston Texans organization, man.
And for all those fans and so-called writers and Texans beat writers and our competition for watching Texans, it's okay to come back to reality now. And you ain't got to kiss butt to Jack and say Jack wasn't doing nothing wrong. It's fine. Yeah, now you can tell your true feelings. You can put these articles that, oh yeah, you heard that Jack wasn't doing this. When we were trying to tell you earlier, don't always listen to your so-called sources or your inside information. Just look at your eyes and see what's going on. That it'll tell you what's going on, but y'all were trying to be too much and be insiders, and y'all was trying to follow the grade of the Texans and trying to get these credentials. People don't follow credentials. People don't follow kiss asses. Yeah, saying if you're gonna port the Texans. Me and AD don't always agree on situations, but we're gonna report it the best we can. So y'all can come back to the fold and say, y'all knew. All of a sudden, when he get fired, everybody, oh yeah, we knew that he was getting fired, or we knew that he was doing dirt and all that. But when you had the time to say something, y'all back to Texans.
Yeah, because they don't want to lose the sources, Jules. They don't want to lose their sources inside the organization. Well, hell, a lot of people is gone from the organization. So I'm like, who the hell was y'all sources? The janitors and the cleaning staff, like the people working the concession stands. Like, hell, they clean house of the whole inside and out. And
the only thing you could do is if you had sources and you couldn't say, you didn't have to back up what you were trying to, the lies that are going. Now you lose credibility with the fans and the organization. Like you just there just because you want credentials. So no, it's okay to come back now. We tried to tell y'all 3 or 4 years ago that something stank with this whole Easterby thing, but
and this whole thing, like I look at 610, Landry Locker did his little segment talking about a dinner he had with Jack Easterby, man. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you telling this story now, but this story could have been told.
Right.
It wasn't anything like uber damaging or uber, that would have, you know,
Right.
had only thing you would have got is you would have got a call to the office and say, "Hey, man, don't do that again," and that's all.
Right.
So
And
things
what
like
what
that, huh?
what pissed me off about 16 is the Texans are not going anywhere else other than 16. They're not going to
Yeah.
lose their contracts because they're not going to do 975, 97.5 because
Mm-mm.
they don't care about the Texans. They're going to tell you how it is. And
Mm-hmm.
790 has never been a big station for them anyway. So they can actually report what they're supposed to report and
All
be
right.
honest about it. I mean, I hate being called that we're the softest, one of the softest uh, networks or Houston's or
Mm-hmm.
cities that our media is soft and we don't really want to press the issues because we're so nice and that stuff can start getting old as a media guys. And you have to ask tough questions and make them either respect you or block you. If I don't give a damn, but ask the questions you need to ask.
Mm-hmm. And that's all you want, man. Just the media, just to report and be upfront and truthful. I understand you got sources, you got to protect your sources, you got to
Right.
protect your inside information, but there's certain things you can say and certain things you can do that you know that you can give the fans a little tidbit here, a little tidbit there. You
Yeah,
know.
but look at Mark. Mark don't say anything unless it's verified.
Mm-hmm.
And you hardly heard any reports about Jackie used to be when we're talking about Mark. Mark just said,
Yeah.
okay, he couldn't prove what was going on, so he didn't report it.
Mm-hmm.
That's better than we gonna back Texans. We gonna Jackie Easter was okay, and we did everything but the sports illustrated was a lie, 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 lie. Now
Mm-hmm.
look at you got egg in your face because you trying to back the story. It wasn't true.
Yeah. So you know, man, let's go ahead and jump off this Jack Easterby topic. We've been on it for a good little minute, man.
Right. Because we just
Just
so happy.
it's a good day, man. It's a good week. It's a breath of fresh air. We
Mm,
finally can rise up, from the ashes with Jack
right.
Easterby. It burnt us to the ground. So let's go ahead and jump right in, to this week 7 matchup against the doggone. I always call them Oakland Raiders because they're gonna always be Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders,
Yeah.
in Las Vegas right now. Houston Texans, coming in pretty healthy.
Right.
We got Jonathan Grenard who is injured,
Right.
who's not going to play in this game, who's officially out for this game for the second straight week, well, 3 weeks now,
Mm-hmm.
um, with a calf injury, and it looks like he hurt it in practice. So because he practiced Wednesday, then he limited participation, and it just got worse. Then you got Chris Moore, who's questionable. Austin Deculus, who's been hurt every since week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Brevin Jordan, who's questionable, but they say he is going to play.
Yeah, I heard he's gonna play.
Yeah, he's going to play. Gives the Texans a little bit more wiggle room, in their tight end room. Now you got Brevin, now you got Jordan Akins. Farrell Brown is gone finally. Um,
All pro.
so all pro Farrell, and then you
Brown.
got you got rookies coming back, from the injury reserve. You got Tegan Quatoriano coming
We ain't, wor-
back.
we ain't worried about
Um,
him. Go and say his name. We know what
so
there's a guy we've been waiting for since
we've
since,
been
since
waiting
draft
for.
day 2.
It's Christian Harris is finally, he's been, I don't know if he's going to be activated game day, but Christian Harris has been designated for return. If he
Yes.
doesn't play this game coming up against the Raiders, he's for sure going to play against the Titans.
Right.
From all reports that have been said, even Lovey Smith just said he wanted to see how he practiced before, if he wanted to see let him play or not. So those all things, consider, man, the Texans are finally getting a little healthy. You still got Tavier Thomas, who should be coming back soon.
Well, I thought he should return this week, but I guess something is keep him. It's still ailing him, so he can't come back fully like he wants to.
We had a major hamstring injury.
Right. And in fact that they're not really rushing to come back because the secondary is probably
Yeah,
our best position, offense or defense wise.
right. And so with that being said, we are, pretty healthy going into week 7 compared to most teams who had, a lot of players lost for the season.
The 49ers.
49ers, the Chargers been
Right.
devastated with injuries. I mean, it's just, team after team after team. The Browns, they're devastated with injuries. The
Right.
Broncos, devastated with injuries. I mean, the AFC has been hit harder than the NFC.
Right.
So just looking at all these things, and you got to be thankful that you, even though as bad as we are, we at the very least we're healthy because we don't need no excuses. I've said this in the offseason. We don't need no excuses. And I said it's a taboo topic, but we're gonna talk about it. We're
Right.
gonna talk about it, man.
See?
I don't
You
need
said you
no,
said you didn't want to go there. And
but I'm
I've been keeping my
gonna
mouth
go
shut
there.
about the meal situation, but you
But
about to go there.
but I'm about to go there, man. I'm about to go there, man. We don't need no excuses for Davis Mills in this upcoming draft.
To evaluate what he truly is.
Exactly. This is his true testament. There is no threat of him getting benched.
Oh,
There is
that's
no
good.
there is no threat of him getting replaced.
Mm-mm.
This is Davis Mills' team, and this
Right.
is Davis Mills' show.
It's his job to lose.
It's his job to lose in the offseason of 2023.
Right, and he's losing now though. I just want to put it out there.
But
But it's
let's
still
just say
his job to lose.
let's just say right now it's his job to lose in the offseason of 2023 going into the draft and next year. That's it.
So,
That's where he's at. But Davis Mills, man, has been average.
right. Can I poke the bear a little bit? Can we say it's his job to win back because he ain't been playing that well? I mean, because
I'm
job to
not
lose,
even.
like he been doing something decent, but he's trying to win his job back or keep his job. Yeah, he's more like fighting to keep his job than losing his job at this point.
Hey, I'm like Deshaun Watson on that doggone deposition. I plead the fifth. So
Okay. So we're gonna keep his job to lose. We're gonna keep it that way, just to keep it 100.
We won a game in spite of.
In spite of. And I'm against the Mills fan. He made some key throws.
He made some throws, but let's all be real, man. The man threw for 140 yards. I don't care where you at. A high school game, 140 yards ain't winning you a game.
Not at all.
So let's be real. The Houston Texans won in spite of, Davis Mills against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who at this point look like they sputtering.
Right.
And they going back down. They coming back down to reality. Think people got hyped. They won those 2 games. People thought they was turning around, and the Eagles came in and shook them up, and they just, they lost 3 in a row.
Right.
So, it's a situation with Jacksonville, and I just say the Texans had a chance in every game.
They did.
And the game. And Davis Mills had decent stat lines in every game prior to last game.
Okay.
Decent. Yeah, it's a strong word, but I'm gonna give it to him. 200, averaging 190 yards.
Right.
Touchdown, interception, a game in those first 5 games, and for you to be in those games, that that's credit to him.
Right.
But let's look back and see who actually won us the game, which is Dameon Pierce.
Damian Pierce and the O-line.
And offensive line. And once again, I started the season, I said I don't want any excuses for Davis Mills.
Mm-hmm.
And we've heard nothing but excuses.
Oh, but a bunch of them.
Mills. And I know we're talking about the bad.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the bad, the development, he hit the second year wall before the season even started. and he been playing like it. Um, the confidence for Davis Mills is not there.
Right. But
You know,
after this week, because like they got the Mills fans and Mills lovers gonna say when he was benched last year, he played under Tyrod for two games. He came back and he studied more. He used his Stafford education to really hone his skills, and he looked good. They say he looked good the rest of the games he played. So let's see after this bye week how much studying he did, how much extra work he put in. Did he
well, they
put in the
say
necessary?
reports were he was out. Well, according to Davis Mills, he was out there playing golf. So I mean,
I mean, AD, you know I don't like Mills, and I'm trying to give these cats some hope and say that we can see a turning point for the next 11, 12 games. That maybe he did some extra studying and like they didn't put the clause like they did for Kyle Murray that he had to study for 3 hours every day. You know what I'm saying? He had enough studying that he was intelligent to put some more effort into it, and he gonna look good next this game. I was trying to give him the fans something to cheer for, but if you want to go there, we can go there. I think he's still gonna be trash no matter what happens. But
but to Davis Mills' credit,
he got 2 weeks.
he has had some excellent throws. You know,
Yes.
and that is fine. That is good to say. That is fine to say that he's had excellent throws.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see excellent games.
And
I
this
want to
that
see
means 4, not
quarters,
3, not
not
2,
two,
not 1, but 4 quarters
quarters.
of him making the throws necessary to keep the drive line, the first downs, the big deep throws for
Yeah,
touchdowns or for PIs, just moving the ball
yeah,
with your arm.
and the thing about it is that people want to say, well, the offensive line, Pep Hamilton, the scheme is not, you know, tailored, or he's not they're not doing a good job scheming the offense up. Well, the whole reason that Pep Hamilton is our offensive coordinator right now is because of Davis Mills.
Yes.
The reason why Davis Mills is on this team at the Houston Texans is because of Pep Hamilton.
Right.
So let's not disregard that fact.
Oh, they forget those. When I'm making excuses, they don't
You
forget
know,
the fact that Pep and David Shaw and Nick Casario had a conversation
yeah,
about Davis Mills
right,
and why he
and
was your first pick as a GM
yeah,
ever.
why he was picked at all, and so it just Pep Hamilton. We watched all 22, man. Hey, PSA, man. BOP does a all 22 after every Texan game that Wednesday. I'm sorry, Tuesday, depending on what
Mm.
day it comes out, because it may come out the following day, or depends on when that all 22 comes out. But the Houston Texans, BOP, does the Houston Texans all 22. Follow us. Go ahead, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Twitter handles at the bottom of your screen. We got our boy C Roll not in the building today, but he will be back. But yeah, follow me, follow Black On 713. Follow C Roll and Royal Texan fan, and follow our boy Jules at Jeff Bear 80. And you're gonna find, if you follow us, man, you're gonna find that link for the all 22, and go ahead and tune in, man. It's a good time. It's a it's a good time. We get to see it all. We see it's a lot of revelations that come in that
Right.
all 22. A lot
And
of the talk, and I said before, man, I'm gonna say it again, man. You gotta be okay with being wrong,
right.
because it's a lot of times I'm watching the game live at the stadium, or I'm watching it, and I see something, and I this and that, and I'm like, okay, I'm seeing this, and I'm confident that I know this is what the hell it is.
Right.
And you pull up the tape, and you're like, well, that didn't happen the way you thought it happened. So
Right. Yeah.
it's a lot of revelations, man, and I implore the masses to come in, and just even if you feel like it's gonna be skewed or it's gonna be a bashing or it's gonna be this, and that. Like I said before, the most people don't realize that the people that get talked about in these all 22s is not even Davis Mills. We
Nah,
talk about him here and there, but
right.
he's not a primary of the criticism. The
Mm-mm.
primary of the criticism is the Roy Lopez's and the Christian Kirksey's and the damn Kamu Gruja Hills of the world. Those are our major
Right.
critiques and major complaints and major, just going ham on them and criticizing them to the max because Roy Lopez was supposed to be something that he not and he never
Mm-mm.
was, and coming into the season the way he was hyped. And then you got the old veterans who can't play no more, and we
Right.
still trying their ass out there. So those are things that we really harp on, man. But I implore y'all to just come and take a real look just to see, because at the end of the day, it's group thinking and it's learning
Right.
from others' perspectives. You can still keep your own perspective. Nobody's telling you that watching all 22 is gonna change your perspective or your viewpoint. But
No.
just come in just to see what everybody else is thinking and how we derive our points.
I would say,
Derive.
man, just come to the board with your knowledge, man.
Yeah.
Just show your knowledge, show what you see, and we're not gonna attack you and say, "Oh, you wrong."
Mm-hmm.
We don't see it because my boy Kenyon Green gets talked about at least once or twice every game.
Yeah.
And he's a rookie. We
Yeah.
talk about Preacher. He how he missed his assignment or he should have been in coverage. So
Mm-hmm.
even our favorite players that we follow, they get the smoke too.
Yeah. It's inevitable, and I'm not gonna keep harping on it, man, because at the end of the day, if you want to be a part, man, you're gonna be a part. If you want to, do what you do what you do. It is what it is. I know it's accessible, way more accessible than what it used to be.
Right.
I'm just trying to bring the community together, man. But let's talk about. We talked about Davis Mills, and we've been talking about Davis Mills, man, and at the end of the day, man, I want the best for the boy. I want him to come out guns a blazing. I want him to get in them bright lights in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Go down this strip, tomorrow night or tonight by the time this airs. I just want him to go down the strip tonight and just enjoy yourself, man, and come in and enthused and reinvigorated after the bye week. And just say, you know what I want Davis Mills to have, the attitude I want him to have. I want him to have the fuck it attitude. if you have because most great quarterbacks have a fuck it attitude.
Right.
Fuck it. I may not can make this throw.
Right.
Fuck it. I'm gonna throw it anyway.
It seems like he doesn't want to make mistakes because he knows that if he makes too many mistakes, that he's done.
Yeah.
So I think he tries to avoid the mistake, but also by trying to avoid the mistake, he's avoiding making big plays too.
Yeah.
And if you don't have confidence in your team and in yourself, and the time that you can come back from it, you might you're lamed up.
Yeah.
And so what I want to see two things, one or the other. He go out there and blaze the glory. He leads the team, and we see what we're supposed to have, and now we can ride us back all the way to the rest of the season. He shows some. I want to see that because I promise you that for all you draft guys who wants to use the two first round picks for skill players, that's the best scenario for the Texans if David Mills is successful.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's not, and he shows the same thing all season, what he's been showing for the last couple games, and even in the last couple last season, if he's not the guy, I don't want to win no games.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I don't want to keep thinking that he's gonna be the guy, and we tatter him, we get 5 wins, 6 wins, and it drops us down to the 15th range, and the quarterback are trading up to get a quarterback, which would. Hey, I know this is off topic, but the most crazy thing is you don't want to get a quarterback this draft, but you willing to trade up in 2024 and lose capital. So you willing to trade up our two first-round draft picks and a second-round pick to move up in 2024 to get a quarterback when you could have got a quarterback next year if you need a quarterback.
Yeah.
If you want a quarterback in 2024, then you should want a quarterback now. Because nothing's going to change unless his performance changes.
Yeah, and that's what people think, that if you put a better product around him, yes, he's going to be better. And I said this week. I feel like the way that Davis Mills has played, even if you upgrade this offseason and you do what they say, if you go and get defensive line in the offseason in the draft, if you go get another receiving weapon for Davis Mills, if you go and get you another linebacker to pair with Christian Harris and kind of let go of Christian Kirksey and all those guys, and you have Wallow, Cashman, Harris, and another linebacker as your core linebacking group, that's improved. Bless you. And you sit up here and you improve this team. At the end of the day, this team is still at their very best a 6-win team.
Right.
So I mean, because we're still talent deficient, and you can't expect rookies to change your dynamic of the team. You can't bet or put all your energy on rookies making that change to the team. That's just not realistic. I've never seen, this ain't the NBA, where you can have 2 or 3 rookies come in and your team just change overnight because they just that dynamic of players. It's a bigger team. It's a team game. You can't sit up here and tell me, even though our rookies right now have been playing well, but what have we produced in the win and loss column? We have one win in 5 games.
It's a grown man. It's a grown man game.
Right. And so these things, hey, we get a receiver. There's no guarantee that they're going to affect the game that in that way that you go and you win 2 games because of them. That just doesn't happen like that. There's only so many Jamar Chases.
Right.
There's only so many Justin Jeffersons that come in as rookies and light the world on fire. Hell, Cooper Kupp wasn't Cooper Kupp when he came into the league.
And he's still not the Cooper Kupp people think he's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Right.
And so there, I look at Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner, who's a damn good, excellent receiver. But let's be honest, he's not winning them games because guess what they turned around and did? They went and got goddamn AJ Brown.
Right.
And so he's the guy that wins us the games.
Baby Andre.
Yeah. And so, those things like that, man, it's just all in all, man. I just need Davis Mills to come in with that fucking attitude for the rest of this season and just put all caution to the wind and just play with no fear. Play like like your hair on fire. Just play, man. Just play like you did in Little League and high school when you was trying to make it.
Right. Don't bring up college because you only play 11 games in college.
I understand.
Don't play college.
But in high school, man, you was the number 1 quarterback in the nation, man. And I want you to play like it, man. Play like you know who you are, and not you don't question who you are.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's a lot of things are decision based when you playing quarterback.
Right.
Because there's never going to be a full 60-minute game where you're going to have wide open passes all game.
Right.
You have to sit up here and make the decisions, and you have to make the throws. Now, to his credit, like I said previously, he's made some of those type of throws.
Right.
Like this 50-some yard pass to Nico.
Right.
And then the following week he made another pass to Nico.
Right.
That was damn good. And then you had the back shoulder, some people call it bad pass, some people call it a back shoulder pass. At the end of the day, it was spectacular. It was a completion. It was a spectacular play. And, I just feel like there's a lot of, opportunities there. I keep saying that for Nico. I said that for Nico at the beginning of the year, that he just wasn't getting opportunities. And he's getting opportunities now, and he's finally starting to produce.
All of a sudden, now he's he's a good receiver. It was the whole point that he couldn't get separation, but all of a sudden he's getting separation.
Yeah.
And there's stats and the reports that the Texans have great separation from the receivers. It's just something not happening.
And the same thing with the offensive line, man. The offensive line is bad because Davis Mills has the quickest release time, or one of the quickest release times in the NFL. So that means that it negates what the offensive line is really doing.
Right.
I that's one thing, man. Like, I understand stats are a part of the game, but don't what when people use those stats and they use that to kind of create their narrative. You know what it
Right.
reminds me of?
What's that?
It reminds me of when pastors, or not even pastors, when people of the church take these scriptures
Well,
out the book, out the good book, and use those scriptures to
mm.
justify
Tell it, Lord.
the fucked up shit that they do.
Mm.
And it's the same thing with these stats, man.
Right.
You take these stats and you use it to appease your narrative.
Right.
And then when there's another stat that goes against it, that ain't what that mean. That's not a good stat. That's a fake stat, man. That's this and that. If this stat is fake, man, that stat you propagating is fake too. So don't
Man,
be
I
like
seen
those. Don't be like those people, man. Don't be, just watch the game. Use your eyes, and
right.
your eyes ain't gonna lie.
Well, here's one question I got you. But we talk about the game is, Gennard is looking to put a bounce back season, or can he stay
Yeah,
healthy? And if he stayed healthy last year, he would have got 12 sacks. And now he in mystery games. What's the value of Gennard do you have going forward? Like, I think he's going to his fourth season next year, right? This is third season?
he's going into his
Fourth
third.
next year, right?
Was
Because
it?
he
No,
was here.
I think he came after Ross, didn't he?
Yeah, but he came before Nick got here.
This is Nick's second year,
Yeah, but he was here before Nick, if I'm not
so this
mistaken.
is his third year.
Yeah, so
Okay.
now you got to worry about the finances of a player.
Yeah, and to be honest, man, at this point in time, Jonathan Grenard is a player you keep on the roster for depth
Right.
purposes, but he's not. He has yet to show it. He still may have some. He has some skills to do
Right.
what he does, but he's been nullified this year.
We'll say the same things he had last year with
Yeah,
injuries.
yeah,
So
and
how do you feel about him going once he gets back? If how many games he's gonna miss with the hamstring issues? What is your because he was supposed to be one of our core players going forward, and everybody saying he had a great preseason training camp. He was going to stay healthy. He's going to look good, and he was one of our core players. Do you still feel like he's still one of our core players going forward?
no, I never put him up there because my thing is, don't say what you could have done until
Right.
you've done it.
Right.
And the same thing with Clowney. Clowney could have done this, and that if J.J. Watt wasn't selfish and wasn't this, and that. Don't
Right.
tell me what Clowney could have done
Right.
until Clowney has done it.
Right.
Clowney has yet to have a double-digit sack season.
Right.
So until he does it, don't tell me what he could have done.
Right.
Jonathan Grenard had 8 sacks last year. Good job as a second-year player. But don't tell me what he could have got if he was healthy, because he didn't do it.
And by the sacks, I mean, were those sacks coming in key parts of the game where we
those
about to
were
win and we had the big
meaningless
sack?
stats.
Yeah.
Meaningless sacks, meaningless stats. You know, maybe a handful out of those 8, maybe 3 or 4 were impactful plays.
Yeah.
But those other half was just, we getting blown out or whatever. Like, you have to look at the games that he had those sacks in, and you had to do more deep dive and research. But just from the basis of it, man, I don't think he wasn't a oh my god type of pass rusher. He wasn't that in college.
He
And
wasn't.
he's not that now, but he's a good rotational piece. He's a
I think
good,
so.
defensive end, because he is pretty decent against the run.
Mm-hmm.
For him being his size and his position, he's a decent run defender.
He's a tweener.
He's a
He's
tweener,
another tweener.
yeah. And so all of these things considered, man, I don't want to harp on Jonathan Grenard too much, man, because it's still a lot to be shown, man. But I think that if he gets a contract extension, it's going to be something cheap.
Yeah.
It's gonna be something cheap, and if he wants something more expensive, he wants to hit the free agent market. I don't think the Texans would hesitate to let
No.
him go.
No.
Um, and so you have opportunities, man, to find you a real pass rusher in the draft, find you a real pass rusher in free agency,
Mm.
via trade. I mean, teams at this point, by the trade deadline, you may have teams looking at their record and say, "Fuck that! I need a pick. I need a pick more than I need this player." The
And
Saints right now looking like, if they keep playing and looking how they looking, and then by the time trade deadline comes in a few weeks, they can be sitting there because they 2-5 right now. If they sitting there 2-8, they can be like, you know what, the season is over with. Let's trade Davenport. Let's
yeah,
trade. Let's trade. One of these other pass rushers that we got, or let's trade one of these offensive linemen, these extra offensive linemen. Let's trade. Let's trade whatever we got to get
and
an extra pick
rebuild.
and rebuild.
Right.
And that's what, especially since they don't have a first, because now you need, since you don't have a first, it's really no player on your team that's going to garner. Even Michael Thomas is not going to garner a first round pick.
He can't stay healthy.
He can't
He's
stay
lost
healthy.
three games. I
Right.
got him on fantasy football team. I know that nigga ain't played but a meaningful but one game. He only
So
got me 20 points one time. I know I took the risk on the 6th round pick. They thought I was dumb as hell because Michael Thomas, he was healthy. He ain't played in 3 games, 3
he ain't
seasons.
played, man. He ain't. Then what they say, the best ability is availability, man.
Right.
So their best players aren't going to garner first round picks. So the best thing you can hope for is to say, hey, can we get a future second? Or hey, can
Right.
we get a future third? To at least build up your capital. That way you got second, third round picks, and that can make up you not having a first round pick.
Right.
And so those teams like that, like we've already talked about the fire sale that's about to go down in Carolina. They got rid of CMC already. No telling who's next on the chopping block.
So
Derek Brown or
with Lovey
Burns.
Smith's that's my question. With
Mhm.
Lovey Smith's system, would you take a Brian Burns?
I would take a Derek Brown before I take a Brian Burns. We had this discussion in the offseason when we
We
thought
did.
Deshaun was going to be traded to Carolina. I
Yeah.
said, give me Derek Brown and give me one of them defensive backs, J.C. Horn or Chin.
Chin, the safety, yeah.
Give me one of those two. And I mean, give me two of those, because I think it was 4 players. It was Burns, Brown. We didn't even talk about DJ Moore.
Nah,
We thought he was off limits.
right.
But I mean, like, if you look at it between those 5 players, give me the 3 of DJ Moore, Derek Brown, and Chin or Horn. I'm not touching, Brian Burns. One,
Right.
he's older.
Right.
2, you're gonna have to pay him.
You have to pay him.
And 3, he's underperformed.
Right.
So all of these things considered, man. Now give me Derek Brown, which I think he's gonna be, because he's not being talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna be one of the next dominoes to fall, in my opinion, because he's sneaky good, and he's gonna garner some interest.
Okay.
And
You,
so,
so you think he might be traded by the end of, because November the 1st is the trade deadline, if I'm not mistaken.
is it? Oh, that's in 2 weeks then.
Yeah. So I think that's the
Well,
trade
next
deadline.
week.
So he
Yeah.
might be a number name you could, if you really, but I think if you trade somebody like that, he got to be one of your core players. You
Yeah.
can't keep making trades for trash and all then cut them within 2 years, 2 weeks or later, or keep paying dead money cap. And one of the arguments that we said about Nick is the dead cap money he's adding to him by not having players. I think
Yeah.
this time go around, if Nick is really building this roster to compete, he now he has to start making these draft picks and these core players and free agency and trades for core players to be on his team for at least 4 or 5 years. And Derek Brown does fit that category. And I don't know
Right.
how much he would get for Derek Brown. I don't think he's looking for a first or a
You're not
high
gonna get.
second.
You're not even gonna get that. And honestly, at this point, you're gonna get a third. If Christian McCaffrey couldn't garner a first round pick, what make you think that Derek Brown
Yeah,
will
I'm I'm
garner a
I'm,
first?
I'm still trying to figure out how they got 4 picks for Christian McCaffrey. I don't understand it.
They almost traded their whole draft away. So,
Right.
but it is what it is at this point. We gonna see because it's next week. You say it's the first, so next week,
I believe the first is the dread
week
deadline.
after next, we gonna find out real soon.
I
But
know, I know we ain't talking about the game much, but I do want since we mentioned secondary, I do want to mention the matchup between
yeah,
Stingley
let's
and
let's go
Adams.
ahead and let's dive into the game, man. Let's talk about it. We talked about the injuries. Darren Waller's out for the Raiders, kind of setting up every week that the Texans has had a game. One of the star players on the opposing team has been injured or out of the game.
Right,
Whether it be the first week with Darius Leonard, week 2 with the Broncos, wasn't it the safety Justin Simmons out?
right,
Then week 3 against the Bears, um, week 3 against the Bears, Montgomery and Pringle
right.
get hurt at the very beginning of the game in the
Mm-hmm.
first quarter, and then week 4, who do we play week 4?
Um,
No, the Chargers. The Chargers.
Chargers, and they lost
And
their
they lost. They had just lost their left tackle. Justin Herbert was just coming from broken ribs the previous game. Maybe
Kevin
I'm
Allen was
mixing.
out.
Yeah, and so I'm maybe mixing the games up or whatever. But
But
then you
the
go
point
in.
is that every team
Yeah,
we played that's missing a star, or the argument was you knock a star out.
right. And the only team that we played, if I'm not mistaken, was Jacksonville that was pretty healthy.
Yeah.
I don't remember Jacksonville having a major injury or a major player out.
No, they didn't. I think they were fully healthy.
Yeah. And so that was the first time that but Trevor Lawrence had one of his bad games, he's
Yeah.
starting to trend to have, on regular. I'm not gonna say it, but once if your whole draft class of quarterbacks is ass,
I mean, and your quarterback's
then
ass too.
yeah. So
Because
after
hell,
that,
Matt Jones might if he don't look good these next couple games, they might go back to
they may go back to Zappi. He may be out. So
right.
deep diving into the game, man. Let's talk about it right now. The Houston Texans 1-3-1. Las Vegas Raiders are 1-4. They had some really close losses
Right.
this year against the Chargers. One loss against the Chargers and a 1-point loss against the Chiefs.
Mm.
So those games, the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, could be flip of the coin, could be just as good or better than what their record is showing.
Right.
And so, with all that being said, man, let's talk about the matchups, the key matchups. You started talking about it. Go ahead and talk about the Stingley and Devontae Adams matchup.
So you got the best there is, according to him, the best there was, and the best there ever will be with route running. You got Adams coming in the game, and he had a bad loss because I think they had a bye last week too.
Yeah.
So he had to hear all the stuff about him pushing the cameraman and all stuff. So he might be a little gone a little bit because mentally he facing the jail time. But of course, he's not gonna go to jail. But all that backstory he got to worry about.
Yeah.
He might come back fully focused and ready to dominate. So you got your number one pick from this year's draft, who's supposed to be the cornerstone of your secondary and your defense, going against the best there is when it comes to route running. Mr. 99 himself, Madden rating. That's gonna be fireworks because if we play zone against that man, he gonna eat.
Yeah, all day.
Because I think David Carr is probably the best quarterback we have seen all season.
Mm-hmm.
So you put that plus Adams on the board. That secondary, which we haven't really said been tested. We always say it's the best position that we got.
But they haven't had a full test, and I think that's coming soon. It'll start with Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow,
right.
But they still don't have, they still missing a lot of weapons in Las Vegas. But I think the test is really coming the following weeks.
Yeah. So we're gonna see Mr. Killer B himself how much he follows or how much he covers Adams and see what this rookie really got. He got his first interception two weeks ago. We all excited about that, but his covering skills is about to be tested.
Yeah,
His makeup speed about to be tested because Adams gonna get his catches. He gonna make his route run. He gonna fool you by thinking you're going left and go upright when he gonna go down to the side. Can he recover? Which he has great length and great cover speed and great instincts. Well, it's gonna be tested this Sunday.
yeah, and I think another person that's gonna get tested on the opposite side is doggone Steven Nelson
Right,
with Hunter Renfro.
right,
So that's another matchup to watch out for. And then looking more in depth to it, man. Let's talk about the opposite side of the ball. Let's talk about Max Crosby and them boys over there in Vegas rushing, against the mighty tandem of Tunsil and Titus. Can because they got pressure. They got pressure on Patrick Mahomes. They got pressure on Justin Herbert. That's one thing. They may not be great in the middle
right.
of their defense, but they know how to rush the passer.
And don't
They
forget
know
that
how.
they still got Chandler Jones that
They
signed
have
this season.
Chandler
So
Jones
they
as
got
well.
some pass rushers with some great talent.
Yes, and their secondary is spotty.
You're right.
But overall, my thing is every week. I think it's a testament that I bring up the offensive line as the
Right.
keys and one of the groups to watch.
Right.
The trenches is always to me most intriguing. I always watch the trenches, man. So it's just one to see how the development of Kenyon Green, how is he coming along? Can we be as dominant running the ball as we were against Jacksonville? You know,
Especially between the tackles, I think we should be able to
mhm,
really really put our hands to and push them back and get open holes. And DP should be able to really get some big gains. Maybe not to the outside because Max Crosby is pretty good on the outside and Trent Jones is good on the outside, but between tackles and they can switch off or pass off tackles or pass rushers to the end, and your guards should be
mhm,
able to pick them up because there should be much threat from the inside pressure from Raiders.
right.
There's nobody in the Raiders from the inside or even linebacker that I'm worried about wrecking our offense
Hmm.
scheme, and then I'm not worried about. And this is the game that Mills should be able to really step up if he needs to, because if the outside pressure is coming from the outside, he got to step up 2 yards or 2 feet up. He should clear it, and the
Hmm.
tacklers push him out. He should have lanes to pass.
Yeah,
So
and
this be a good game for him
this
up
is a
close.
game. This is a game for him to say, "Fuck it,
Right,
I'm about to take over,"
and sling it.
because as much as we talk about it, and we talked about the tanking, non-tanking, are they tanking on purpose or just tanking just because we bad,
Right,
or however, this is a very winnable game.
it is.
It's a very very winnable game on the road, a very winnable game,
Right,
and you just have to come in. You had this bye week. Are you gonna come in guns a blazing, or are you gonna come in flat? The
right,
offense. Are you gonna pick up? And with the running game, like I just said, are you gonna pick up with the running game and run the ball like effectively like you were able to?
right. And then, like I
Or
said, their secondary and their
it's spotty.
linebackers is not that great. So
Mm-mm.
our tight ends should be able to eat. Our receivers should be able to get inside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, DP should be able to get some swing and wheel routes
Yeah,
outside to get some big yards in the passing game. Off this offense this week should be on full frontal.
yeah,
They should be able to do everything they want to do because the Raiders defense is not that great.
right. And you don't have any limitations. Well, I won't say limitations, but as far as like health and full team commodity, you don't have that many limitations.
Right.
Like everybody's healthy. Brandon Cooks is playing. Nico Collins is playing. Philip Dorsett, Tyler Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Akins, Brevin Jordan. You got your full. Damian Pierce is playing. So you got your full complement of weapons.
Burkhead
That
can catch.
Burkhead, who. So you got all these different weapons, and Chris Moore may play. So you
Right.
have all these different weapons available to you. And yeah, they're not the best,
Mm-hmm.
but it's what you got.
Right.
And is better than not having anything.
Right. And like I said about Mills, people give me a hard time. I don't like Mills. It's not that I don't like Mills. I just don't see him taking over the game and the offense and say this is my team. I know our roster is not great,
Mhm.
but you don't see him making the roster
He
even a
doesn't
little
lift
bit
them up.
better. He
Yeah,
doesn't
he
elevate the
doesn't.
roster.
Yeah, he doesn't lift the he doesn't lift his teammates up.
And that's what you want at your quarterback. You want your quarterback, no matter how bad your roster is, he can take it from one level to a different level. It may not be winning many games, but you can see it on the field that he's making his teammates better.
Yeah,
And that's why I don't see that's my biggest thing about Mills. It's not his arm strength, his accuracy, all that stuff can come go. But can you play the position?
yeah, and I don't want to keep going because we're about to go back into a whole nother deep dive on Davis Mills. So
No,
let's avoid.
I'm done. I'm done on Mills. But I want to see this game. I want to see
Yeah,
him elevate this offense on a defense that's not really known for stopping people.
right. They that's one thing they're not known for. They don't
Right,
stop anybody.
right,
So that's the thing that we gotta look forward to is that this week be a get right game for the offense.
right. And
Can
not just get right, but
yeah.
put on full display of
Hmm.
how this offense should operate when
Right.
everything's working on all cylinders.
Right.
Last couple games, you better scoring and you're coming back and you're within a score, but you ain't really put this team on the back and say, hey man, we're gonna dominate our game plan and there's nothing you
Hmm.
can do about it.
Yeah.
And
And
that's what I want to see from
you
Mills.
have the and you have the tools to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not saying this is gonna be an every game occurrence.
Right,
But give me something like the statement I said before. Don't tell me what could have been done
right,
if it hasn't been done.
right,
And so that's don't tell me we could have won
right.
and we didn't win. So
I, like we don't want to see left plays. Or if he'd have hit this big one here, but there's miscommunication. I don't want to leave any passes on the field for Mills.
yeah.
I want to see him hit everything he needs to hit. And of course, he can have his misses here and there, but I want to see him hit his big targets and big gainers to show
Hmm.
his offensive skill if he can actually play this position as a full
Yeah.
time NFL starter.
So, with that being said, looking at the time, man, let's go ahead and give our predictions for this game. What you got for this game? Go and tell the
Uh,
story. Paint
I'm
the picture.
paint a picture is I think DP gets 125 yards.
Hmm.
I don't really see him really stopping him. He might get 2 touchdowns because they're going to be a run base offense, trying to keep them not scoring too much. I think they're going to go into the third quarter being into it, but I think the Raiders are going to still pull it out because I think our secondary for once get really tested, and it shows the holes of the defense. So I'm
Hmm.
thinking 31-17.
Oh, see, the Houston Texans are going to come into every game and walk in either NRG or the opposing stadium, and they're gonna play their hearts out.
They are.
They gonna give you all that they got,
Mm-hmm.
even though it may not be enough. And what the Houston Texans are gonna do is they're gonna make these games close.
Yeah, I agree.
This game is going to be a very, very close game, a very tightly contested game.
Mm-hmm.
This game is going to be the battle of running backs. Josh Jacobs is going to have over 100 yards rushing. So is Damian Pierce is going to have over 100 yards rushing. It all depends on at the end of the day, who puts the ball in the end zone the most.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at this point in time, I feel like the Raiders may have an edge in that factor, just based on the talent level that they have at this point. But I do see another closely, low scoring, not extremely high scoring game. Every game that the Texans have been in has really been a close game, except the Chargers game when they put up the 27 points in the first half.
Right.
But other than that, you look at the Colts game, 20
Mm-hmm.
to 20. You
Right.
look at the Broncos game, they didn't score 20 points.
Right.
You look at the Jaguars game, they scored 9. you
Chicago.
know, Chicago, they didn't score 20 points.
But what all the 4 teams you mentioned, what did they did not have? A better above average quarterback.
Right. And
So
and so, those are the things, man. But my prediction is that the Houston Texans are gonna fall in this game. I think the Raiders are gonna run their clock. Run Jacobs down the throat. I feel like it's gonna end up being another 20-some point game. Maybe 23-17.
So we good on the 17th part.
Yeah, we're good on. It's just I just feel like Lovey's. At the end of the day, Lovey's defense is gonna capitalize on turnovers.
Right.
We're gonna get at least one turnover this game, whether it be fumble or interception. So whether even on special teams, the Texans have had a turnover, if I'm not mistaken, every game this year.
Right. Well, I'm
So
gonna do something you did last week. You said or 2 weeks ago, you said Sting was gonna get his first interception.
mm-hmm.
I said I'm gonna do a bold prediction. I think that Petrie is gonna pick off Derek Carr trying to get up to Jacobs on a wheel right or a running back screen.
Okay, you
I
think
think
he's gonna?
he's gonna watch enough film and he's gonna recognize something that they might try to pick off a pick six
Okay.
on a pass to running back.
Okay, so we see that we got the prediction right now from Jules. Petrie is gonna have a pick six on a running back. Either running back screen, running back flare.
Right.
A pass play where the running back is getting the ball. So
because no one's scared about linebackers. No one's terrified.
no, but Petrie's always gonna come downhill. So
that's what it is.
That's one thing that we can be positive on, man. But here we are, man. Week 7 back in the season right now is nonstop. We don't have no more bye weeks. Ain't no more rest days. We on every week until January 9th.
Right.
And that's when we call it a season, man, for the Houston Texans. So let's get ready. Let's get excited, man. So I want to once again PSA, man. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the handles down below. Keep on supporting the Black On Podcast. Keep on supporting BOP, man. We coming through. We coming through, man. We revamping. We reinventing ourselves. We doing a lot of things different, man. And you're gonna see a lot of more different guests, a lot of more different personalities that are coming back in, and we trying to bring the people to the screen so we can all have a good time.
Yeah, and if y'all wanna be a guest host or
reach out.
talk about it, reach out. We'll put you on for a segment. We'll let you have your conversation, but you have to come with some knowledge, some understanding.
Just be prepared and professional, man. Everybody's welcome. That's been the whole motto for BOP is that everybody's welcome. There's no division. There is no, I don't like you, so you can't be a part. I'm running it this way. It's open. It's for the people, man. It's for the people.
It's not gonna meet you on the 50. We're not gonna meet you on the 50.
We ain't blocking. We ain't blocking nobody. I don't have nobody blocked, man. I ain't blocking nobody. We don't block people. We just out here to have a good time, man. So, with that being said, this has been another episode of BOP.
Right.
With your boy AD. We got Jules in the building, man.
Come back after a bye.
Right? After a bye, fresh off a bye,
Right, so we ready.
We ready, man. We want to shout out our brother C. Raw, man. Chris Raw. He'll be back in the building soon, man. So, with that being said, this has been another episode, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.